Hey TOEFL Taker, how's it going? Yeah, one more live this evening. I'm so excited. Yay, Ann Haggerson is around already. Hey Ann, welcome. I mean, you're not here yet, but welcome. All right, teacher Canopus is here. What a surprise. Love that. Hello everyone. Right. Let's do this. All right, let's joining us right now. This is gonna be so great. All right, let's do this. Yay!
Can we just keep this music on the whole time?
Sure.
It's just like this is like a TOEFL dance party. It's not a TOEFL live, right? We're just.
I'd like to share that Anne just asked me a few minutes ago, okay, Sandra, what is your live style? What is your style for lives? And I don't know, that's my style. I don't know what kind of style that is. Here we are, and I'm so excited to talk to our followers. Anne, such a pleasure to have you here, right?
Yes,
this is
I'm
Anne
so
Haggerson.
happy to be here with you. I feel really grateful, and really excited about this.
Awesome. So am I. Did you have a nice week, by the way?
Yeah, it's been a really good week, and I'm so glad it's Friday.
Yes, it's Friday then.
It feels good to finally have the weekend here. And
sure, absolutely.
How
Tell me
about
about
you?
it.
Did you have
Yeah, same here. It's been such a busy week, which is a great thing. Always, I'm a bit tired, but I'm also very excited to do this. I definitely look forward to this moment, having this talk and talk about speaking, fluency, language, clarity, and so on and so forth. And I believe our followers will benefit a lot. Your followers, mine, will definitely benefit a lot from this session. Yeah.
I hope so.
Welcome, first of all.
And
it is
for
just
my
wonderful
followers
to
that
have
are
you here.
joining, can you introduce yourself too? Because there's some of my students who don't know you.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. I'm Sandro Duafi. I come from Brazil originally. I do a lot of TOEFL preparation online, actually 100% online these days.
Yeah.
I'm in charge of this online solution called TOEFL Success, where TOEFL candidates basically come for the TOEFL IBT mainly, also ITP, and that's pretty much what I've been doing for the past 10 years or so. The past few years online, and these days I deliver these digital TOEFL preparation solutions, mainly to Brazilian speakers. Yeah, and it's just great to do that.
That's really amazing. Wow, wonderful. And also, I just saw that you published a book about speaking English, like Fala Inglês do seu jeito, something like this. Like it's for people.
Yes.
That's really awesome. Wow.
Yes, Inglês do seu jeito. One of our new accomplishments. We had this great event in São Paulo last Saturday. That was just absolutely wonderful to be there.
We had you signing books.
Exactly. We had this book sign session. I was so honored to have so many nice people around us. The readers of the book, friends who came over, to be there, and I was really flattered to be a part of that moment, along with the other co-authors of Inglês do seu jeito, which is this new book that we launched in this event in a great bookshop, by the way, in São Paulo. Yeah, I traveled to São Paulo. I come from Rio originally.
That's what I thought you were living in Rio. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So that was just awesome to be 2 days in São Paulo, and I enjoy such a wonderful event organized by one of the coordinators of the book. That was just brilliant.
Yeah.
And
dreams are coming true this year in 2022 for TOEFL teachers, but also for TOEFL students who want to get really good scores this year. And get
That's
into
it.
universities they want to get into, right?
That's the plan
Yes.
always. And could you please introduce yourself to our followers, and please?
Yes, my name is Anne, and I am originally from Iowa in the United States, and I've
Right.
been teaching online for the last couple of years, and I've also taught. I'm a certified teacher. I've taught in New York City. I've taught in Brazil as well. I lived in Brazil for a long time, and now I
That's
live in
true.
Spain. Yeah, I lived in Salvador, Bahia. I live in Spain
Salvador.
now, and I teach English online as well, 100% online, just like you.
Amazing, amazing. And what's
And
the
I'm a
weather like
TOEFL
in
coach.
Spain?
Yes,
Sure, sure.
I live in Santiago de Compostela,
All
which is
right,
a
that's
pilgrimage
wonderful.
site, a very famous pilgrimage site, a beautiful
Yes,
city.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, that must be awesome. And what's the
Yes.
weather like there by
It's rainy,
this time of?
extremely rainy.
Oh, oh, I envy you. I totally envy you. It's scorching hot here in Rio. Anyways, Anne,
Yeah.
great to have you here. Welcome, super
Yeah.
welcome.
And I'm really, really focused on helping students with their fluency skills and helping students get from a low, like below 20 to above a 25 in speaking, which is kind of what we're talking about tonight, right? Or this afternoon, this
Yes,
evening.
sure, sure, great, great, awesome. Let's do this. Let's do this.
Yes. And it's funny
Right,
because the last time we talked, you told me that you also are a Spanish teacher. So as
exacto.
language learners, I feel like we have a sense of empathy for people who are learning, right? Improving their fluency skills because we both speak other languages too. Do you think that helps too, kind of to be on the
I
side of your student
do.
in a way?
I do think so. I know that learning a foreign language, as I usually say, is a real challenge, right? You got into a whole new world, and that's not
Yes.
easy at all. That's not easy at all. So being on the learner's shoes
Mm-hmm.
definitely is a benefit in the sense of understanding the process they go through, understanding the difficulties and so on, and
Mm-hmm.
helping out, right? Helping out with structures they struggle
Mm-hmm.
with. Once you also master that language, that's an advantage, right? I haven't
Yes.
had many Spanish speaking students, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I do have a lot of Brazilians preparing for the
Yeah.
TOEFL. So as a Brazilian,
So,
I speak Portuguese, and that helps so
mm-hmm.
much.
Because as Spanish
Alexandra, you're
speakers, I think
here.
the
Hello.
Spanish speakers struggle with different kinds of pronunciation issues than the Portuguese speakers, right? When they speak English,
Hmm.
because of the
Sure, absolutely.
vowels, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's something funny because um, um, when you're not in the language business, right, and you are a
Mm-hmm.
Spanish speaker, sometimes you can. I mean, I'm talking about neighboring countries, right?
Yeah.
Down here in South America, you just can't understand why it is so hard to understand Portuguese. And the
Uh-huh.
opposite isn't true. The opposite isn't true. Brazilians have an easier time understanding Spanish
That's
because
true.
the Portuguese language has basically all the phonemes
Mm-hmm.
the Spanish language does, but the opposite
Mm-hmm.
isn't true. So we
Yeah.
Brazilians can understand what people say if you make an effort, of course, but they basically can't do the same. It's a shame.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's talk about speaking. Let's talk about fluency, and let's do this, shall we?
Yes. Well, I wanted to talk about a little bit about the shame or like the embarrassment that people feel when they start pronouncing or they feel like they're mispronouncing words. Because I feel like
Sure.
that's oftentimes this kind of block, and people feel kind of embarrassed, silenced. They're afraid, right, to say the
Hmm.
word wrong. They're afraid to make the
Yeah.
mistake. And
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
wanted to give the audience a few tips just to get beyond that, because I think a lot of TOEFL test takers have that feeling like I'm making this mistake, I'm saying this word wrong. My pronunciation is, and it's like this sense of embarrassment.
Yeah.
So
That
I don't
I
know.
get that a lot.
Yeah, yeah. So repetition is so important in that way, right? Repeating the words many times and
Right.
getting used to saying it. Also, recording your voice. recording, you know,
That's
using some
very good
apps
practice.
to record with time, for example. Do you have any tips to kind of get beyond that fear, that sense of like, I'm doing this wrong?
Sure, yeah. What you said is something that I can totally relate. Recording yourself is something that I highly recommend. The only
Yeah.
thing is, test takers have to plan their preparation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, for instance, one thing you want to do is get ready. You have preparation, of course, but you need some time to do more than prepare strategic skills.
Yes.
So, you know, when it comes to pronunciation, this is something that takes a while for you to refine, for you to improve, actually.
Yeah.
So, uh, being able to take the time to record a response to an answer on the speaking section, for instance, is something that can help, right? You
Mm-hmm.
record yourself, play it back, concentrate on what you're saying, and
Mm-hmm.
what you can notice that you're not doing so well. That's definitely something that can be a benefit. And I believe, you know, students
Mm-hmm.
should try their best to take the time to do this sort of, you know, practice
Yeah.
with a recording device or something,
Yeah.
an app like you suggested.
Yeah. And I was
Sure.
also thinking brainstorming before you start, before you go into the test, for example, doing a lot of word webs, creating synonym lists, right? So that you're
Hmm.
kind of prepared for the kinds of topics that might come up, like, for example, about family,
Sure.
about some typical TOEFL exam topics, like campus matters topics, issues with
Sure.
technology,
Something the
right?
academic setting, right?
Yes, in the academic setting. Mm-hmm,
Sure.
mm-hmm,
Sure. Yeah. I think that list with synonyms is a great idea indeed, right?
mm-hmm,
Students usually struggle with different possibilities when it comes to language. They usually, I mean, sometimes,
mm-hmm,
oftentimes actually, they will stick to basic level vocabulary, intermediate level vocabulary. They won't
mm-hmm.
try out different words, right? Fancier language.
Yeah,
Even though I truly believe that's me saying, okay, I truly believe you can score high on the TOEFL without necessarily, uh, you know,
mm-hmm,
without showing high level, you know, sophisticated language like other exam proficiency exams.
mm-hmm,
Uh, and
mm-hmm,
this is something interesting when, in case the students struggle with language.
mm-hmm.
Like most of the time, test takers need a score in order to apply for university abroad, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And if they don't master the language yet, why would they bother to try their best to come up with a more complex structure? You know, I don't
mm-hmm.
mean to, as I always say, I don't to students. I don't mean to set the bar low here. That's not the case.
Right.
If you don't really master the language,
Uh-huh.
why, if that is a fact, why would you bother to try to come up with really complex, sophisticated, like low frequency vocab when you
Yeah,
can't, right?
yeah, it
Play
is. Language
safe.
learning is a step-by-step process, right?
Mhm.
And it does take
Sure.
time. So
That
it's like
takes
building
time.
those blocks, right? And having patience with
Sure.
yourself in the test
Sure.
preparation process.
Sure. 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 Which is something usually short. I don't know if you
Mm-hmm.
share the same view, but the students most of the time spend like a few months preparing for the TOEFL. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, most of the time they are not able to try out different language that they
Mm-hmm.
are not so sure of. I think it's
Yeah.
a better strategy to focus on what the test actually requires,
Yeah.
right? And if you're able to learn new words, phrases,
Mm-hmm.
and make them part of your active vocabulary
Mm-hmm.
within the preparation time, perfect.
Yeah.
I don't see that
That
happening
makes
so
me think of
often.
something actually, because you're saying that really focusing on what the question is asking. Because let's say you have this most amazing response, but it's not really answering the question, that will just, your points will go way down, right?
Yes,
So
precisely.
answering the question, right? We were talking about looking at what they're asking you, paraphrasing that into your own words, and then using some details and sort of some reasons, right, that follow a certain structure. So maybe we can talk a little bit about this idea of, you know, really focusing on the organization of the response, right? And the
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
content that's in the response.
Yes, yes, sure. You just said something very interesting that I try my best to work with test takers. Paraphrasing, right?
Uh-huh.
Being able to convey meaning using different words, different
Yes.
vocab, different grammatical structures, using their own words. I think that is very nice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not simply lifting words, ideas from the original content that
Uh-huh.
you were given on the TOEFL. So, paraphrasing is a great skill to work on, and I really like
Mm-hmm.
to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's really
Yes.
challenging for test takers indeed, but
Uh-huh.
it's something that can
Yeah.
help a lot, and they can score
Yeah.
higher with that, I think.
That's true. That's true.
Right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'd like to go over some cases I was checking for this talk, and this is something that I got from ETS website. I'd like to clarify that some cases that could help could lead us into some particular topics
Yeah.
that we wanna go over this evening. I got this statement from a student saying that I was nervous to speak in English because I was scared to make mistakes. Will people judge me? I've been learning English for a while now, and I realized that everyone makes mistakes. What's important is that I'm not giving up, so I keep practicing. Right?
I love
This is
that.
something you want to
Yeah.
do. This is
That's a
something you want to
beautiful
do.
response. This idea of just realizing that mistakes are part of the learning process. And actually, by making mistakes, you do make progress and you can move forward, right?
Exactly,
We learn
precisely.
so much from our mistakes.
Absolutely. Yeah, the thing is, keep moving, keep going, trying your best to improve, perform,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
better,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because, as you said, mistakes are
Yeah, and the
part of the
other,
process, and you have it.
I
You
was
have to
talking to one
embrace
of my
that
students.
and
Yeah, I was
overcome
talking to one
it.
of my students today, and she said, yes, I was talking to a friend, and they said she used the wrong verb tense. She was saying, I was having lunch last week, but she really
Uh
meant I
huh.
had lunch last week, right?
Sure.
And so her friend corrected her, and she just had this realization, oh, wow. In my native language, I would be using was having to express this idea, but since it was
Yeah.
at a specific time in the past, it should have been had, like dinner at
Sure.
7 p.m. last night, right?
Uh
So
huh.
sometimes, so she's probably not going to forget that, right? She'll remember it.
Hopefully
So
not.
sometimes it's helpful to have another person, right, to give you that correction, or to have a teacher, or to have someone to kind of guide you, or else sometimes you can be a little bit lost. What do you think about that?
I
That's,
totally agree with you. That's why people come to you. That's why people come to me and other TOEFL
yeah,
trainers around the world because something great, of course, is that TOEFL test takers in general, they speak they speak the language, of course, but they
yeah.
need help. They need support, right? They need
Mm-hmm.
to go the extra mile in order to achieve the score. The institution, right? The college they
Mm-hmm.
apply
Mm-hmm.
for requests. So they need somebody to come to and say, look, you're doing great here, doing good here, but you can still improve in this sense. But
Yes.
doing all that in the sense of helping, improving their skills so that they can do even better. And as I usually say, you're not going to be limited by mistakes, but you gotta embrace the very fact that you will make mistakes. That's
Mm-hmm.
part of
Mm-hmm.
the process, but you always with somebody who can help you out, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
a tutor, a
Yeah.
coach. You can make it, right? You
And
can
yeah,
make
and I think it's really useful the idea of audio because sometimes in when I speak Spanish or Portuguese, I make repeatedly the same mistakes and I'll keep
it.
making them
Uh-huh.
and I'll keep making them. And sometimes I notice, oh
Uh,
my God, I'm making that same mistake again.
uh-huh.
However, if I
Uh-huh.
have a teacher who's like correcting me, then they may leave an audio for me or something, and then I'll repeat it and I'll listen to it and I'll try to say it the right way next time. It's extremely helpful to have that audio to listen to refer
I,
to.
I think so. I think so. I do a lot of that with the Spanish listening, indeed,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's sad, but I can't practice Spanish much these days, right? The last
Hmm.
time I practiced that was when we had this other call the other day, and we spoke Spanish. Right, your Spanish is great, by the way. It's just amazing. But you
Yours
know,
is too. You're a Spanish teacher.
but you know, it's a shame I can't practice that much. So what do I do in that case? I
Hmm.
do a lot of passive listening. I mean,
Hmm.
I can interact with with the material
Podcasts, you're
that I
saying, and
hear. Actually, I listen to a lot of. Actually, I watch Netflix, some
hmm.
Netflix series, but
Hmm.
mostly for the audio. I
Hmm.
really don't care
Hmm.
about the stories, the episodes, the whole plot. I
Yeah.
want to listen to different regionalisms. You know,
Hmm.
okay, this is a Spanish
Hmm.
from Colombia, Spanish from Spain, from right, European
Yes.
Spanish, Mexico, Argentina. I love to do that
Yes.
because you know you learn, you end up learning, and I think it refines your skills. I think it
Yes.
is a great idea, right?
Hmm.
I'd like to share this other statement with you, Anne, and I'd like to know your views about a very important topic when it comes to preparing for the TOEFL. This student states that back in school, when he was young, he was scared speaking in English, and he was uncomfortable in front of people when he spoke English because he wasn't so confident.
Hmm.
Confidence is key here, right? How do you feel about students who don't feel so self-assured about their skills, test-taking skills as a whole?
Hmm. Yeah, and that's one thing that I teach students is really not to compare themselves to others, right? Just to think about their learning journey, their process, their goals, and
Sure.
how much growth that they are experiencing over time.
Hmm.
That way you can really assess, oh wow, I really have come a long way. I have learned a lot over the last period of time that I've been learning and studying and preparing. I think developing confidence is also kind of a mindset issue. I like to work with affirmations personally, doing a lot of positive affirmations, positive thinking, meditation. These kinds of things really help me
How
personally.
nice. How nice.
Yeah.
Right. Right. But is it the kind of stuff you share with test takers when
Yeah.
preparing with you?
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
how awesome. Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to help you.
Yeah, and there was another Brazilian woman that I was doing this language exchange with, and she was teaching me wonderful meditation techniques too,
All
to
right.
calm yourself down and just kind of that calm, the breath work that can really calm you down before you take a test, for example. It's very
Uh-huh.
helpful.
Uh-huh. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That could help a lot of people.
Hmm.
People
Yeah.
get tense and nervous. There's so much involved, right? So much at stake. They feel
Yeah.
the pressure, right? They feel
Yeah,
the
there's so much
pressure.
pressure. Now, in terms
Sure.
of confidence, how do you feel like you can help your students develop confidence as they're preparing for the exam?
Preparing for for the TOEFL confidently. Well, I think the most important thing is preparation itself.
Yeah.
Because what is lack of confidence most of the time?
Mm-hmm.
Not being prepared enough.
Yes, yes, exactly.
So, as you don't know exactly what to do, what is going to happen when you sit the test, what each of the sections look like,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna be really scared and insecure, and
Mm-hmm.
for sure lack of confidence is going to be an issue. So I think the more you prepare, the more confident you become, and
Mm-hmm.
naturally the opposite is true. I can easily relate that to working out, to exercising, for
Mm-hmm.
instance. I've been going to the gym for the past 5 months now. And I'll tell you, I really don't like the series of exercises I have to do. I have to follow a series of exercises every week, every month. But
Mm-hmm.
I realize it's crystal clear to me. I realize that every single week that I go and I do the whole thing that I'm supposed to do, I become better the following day,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
if I do that consistently every week, I'm way better the following week, and so on and so forth. And getting ready for the test is the same.
Yes.
That turns you from somebody insecure, not knowing what to do, not knowing how to approach each section, to somebody who knows what to do, how to do the right moment, a person who's got answers that were practiced in advance, a person
Yes.
who had the moment to make mistakes because they are part of the process, as you very well pointed out, and also overcame those problems and tried and insisted and persevered throughout the process. And that way the person will be confident.
Yes,
So
I
that's
love
why I
that
try to,
metaphor.
yeah. So
Yeah,
that's
it
why
was
I try to provide students with, support material and so on and so forth.
yes. That's a really
Yeah.
good point. I remember going into like I think I wrote in the comments about how I went into this Portuguese exam that I wasn't prepared when the topic was about the medical world and about doctors and
Yes, I
hospitals and
read
things like that.
that.
So I wasn't prepared for the
Sure.
exam. So I failed it, and then I got
Uh-huh.
a teacher and I started working on it and practicing a lot, preparing myself, getting just doing lots of work with speaking and fluency because it was the speaking exam. And then I passed the exam the
Excuse me.
second time I took it. So
Right.
yeah, but I really agree with you on preparation and just the sense of maybe you may have to take the exam once before, you get the score that you need or twice or right? Because sometimes you need to have that experience to get over this initial sense of fear.
I agree with you, and I think a lot of candidates will try that. Like, first, I have to have a feel of the experience myself,
Yes.
then I'll do it for good.
Mm-hmm.
But, go for it if you can afford it, okay? Because
Yes, it's
paying
expensive.
$215 is not something a lot of people will be able to do these days. But
That's
it is a
true.
strategy. It is a strategy, I think, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'd like to share this other statement here from this other student.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, when she speaks, she has sometimes problems with the sounds that are different from her native language. And
Mm-hmm.
people asks her sometimes to repeat some of the words. Let's talk about a bit about pronunciation. As a native speaker and someone who's based in Spain, somebody who's lived in Brazil, how do you deal with candidates who struggle with pronunciation?
Yeah, I do a lot of work. It depends on the region of the world, where
Right,
with
right.
a lot of students from Asia may struggle with different sounds or may struggle with
Hmm.
the L sound and the R sound.
Right.
So again, in terms of their responses and practicing for the speaking part, I'm listening a lot for any pronunciation errors. Sometimes if the pronunciation error is so strong and I can't understand what they're saying, then it is a
Hmm.
big problem, right? It's a
I
problem because
see.
I can't understand the
I see.
word. So then
Uh-huh.
working on just making it a little bit more natural for them for it to come out of the mouth, right? Practicing it with the right like all those voice teachers that do like all these
Uh-huh,
this
uh-huh,
practice with the mouth and the tongue and so just
uh-huh.
making it a little bit kind of free flow more freely out of the mouth. Yeah, but I mean, as a learner, I always struggle too with sounds that aren't in my native language. Like when with the Portuguese sound, like the nasal sound, like oh, like no, it's really
Hmm.
hard for me to
Hmm.
say. Or even in the
I know.
Spanish, when I say um, like I don't know,
Corazón.
the h sound, right? It's not.
Right. Like
Yeah, and maybe
Javier.
some Italian speakers might struggle with like like house or
All
home.
right.
A lot of, yeah, they really struggle
Oh.
with the H sound.
Oh, I didn't know
So
that. Yeah.
it's a little bit embarrassing when I point it out to the students because they don't really feel comfort. Like they feel like, oh God, I'm making a mistake, and they don't like this
Uh,
feeling. But it's important for me to
sure.
point it out to them because if they're not making the huh sound strong enough, then
Sure.
sometimes I'm confusing the word with another word, or
Sure.
I just can't understand the meaning of
That
the
that might lead
sentence.
into misunderstanding easily. Sure.
Yes, yes, yes.
Understand that.
So in
And
some
as a
cases,
result, sorry.
yeah.
I was just going to say that as a result, that might lower their score when it comes to,
Yeah.
taking the TOEFL and so on, right?
Yeah, so I think also just making those vowel sounds that we have in English are sometimes that's even a struggle. Some of the harder vowels in English, right?
Uh,
So I think that's what I do with my students is I point it out so that they're aware of it, right? Because they may not have been aware of it before. And then I would give them an audio correction so that they can practice repeating that throughout the week. And I really notice that it helps
nice.
because they're actually working on it, they're improving it, awareness is like the first step, right? If you're not aware that you're making the mistake, you're
Sure,
going to keep
sure,
repeating it.
sure. You can say that
Yeah,
again. Sure, awareness
yeah.
is key. Yeah, awareness is key. I'd
But
like
don't
to
you
learn
find
how.
like when you work on it over time, your students really advance, and it's amazing to see like, wow, their pronunciation has improved so much.
Yeah, it's a fact, right? Sure. But I'll tell you what. These days, I mostly work with test preparation. So uh, I think I'm very lucky in a sense that many, many, many times, very, very often, the students come to me and their English is really great, and the kind of stuff you got to do in terms of pronunciation correction is usually the same thing you've been doing like
Hmm.
all your life because as I said most of my students are Brazilian, so the kind of pronunciation mistakes people usually make, so it's not
Hmm.
difficult to spot and help them out with the proper pronunciation and so on. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
And with advanced students, that will happen not so frequently, right? But of
Yeah.
course, you got these socialized mistakes that you got to advanced level with a word or some words that you keep mispronouncing for the rest of your life, and having someone to help you out, correcting, showing you that look, you might be
Hmm.
working, you might work on this particular word, that will often happen. It's great.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, Andy's everyday English is in that. Is it a?
Yeah, she's saying I'm
Yeah.
so falling in love with all your books, guys.
All
That's
right.
great.
So great. She can read them because my yeah, gosh, at this time of the day, my eyes can't really focus much. Oh, that's a TOEFL guide from Barron's right behind you, the green one.
Oh, yeah.
I can only recognize
Oh,
mine because I've read them.
I thought she was talking about the recent book you published. I didn't realize she was talking about like the bookshelves
No,
behind
she's talking
us.
about our books, I think, mine
And
and
you
yours
too.
on the background.
Yeah.
It's good to have good
It's
eyes.
kind of
Mine don't
funny
work.
because I don't think many people doing lives like this would have such similar backgrounds. It's kind of like
That's true. I hadn't realized that.
it's cracking me up, right? It's really
I
funny.
think TOEFL tutors look all the same, right?
Yes, I
Heck,
think so.
I mean, our background, of course. Our background look all the same. I remember this guy. He's very big on YouTube. He's got a very similar background. You know,
Yeah,
uh, I think you know who I'm talking about.
yeah.
And he's got very similar bookcases behind him and similar books as well, right?
Yes.
Anyways, book background is great. English Hamburg, right? And I'd love to learn about what you share with the test takers so that they can get like more than 25 points on the speaking section. What is to do with preparing students to score so high? Can you start talking about that?
Yeah, let's talk about the organization of the response. It is
Sure.
really important that you organize your response with transition words
I
because
love
that will really guide the examiner. I guess in the case of TOEFL, it's just a screen that you're talking to. It's like the
that.
computerized examiner, which is not so human. But
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
oh, whoops,
Whoop.
something just fell off my
Oops.
bookshelf.
Oops. You okay?
Yeah. Anyway, let's keep moving forward. Things are falling off the
Sure.
bookshelf yeah, I think using transition words to say like, okay, firstly, for example, the first point, right, that I'm going to talk about. For
Uh-huh.
instance, giving some examples to back up that, to defend your reason, right? And then giving the second response, for example, secondly, or additionally, right? Transition words are key. And even
Uh-huh.
advanced speakers oftentimes have no idea. They don't realize the importance of organizing their response. So
Mhm.
organization is a key part of the speaking rubric. It is, right? Do you want to say anything about this idea too of
No,
organization?
I totally agree. If you ask me, I myself, I only realized that when I was preparing for a Cambridge proficiency.
Exactly.
And I went to these language institutes that I love so much, where they had amazing tutors.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy talking about, this all these linking words and phrases that
Yeah.
can help us
Yep.
build our speech and essays.
Right.
And I was like, by the way, I was a teacher already. And I was like, my God, what a shame, Sandro.
And
How
then
come
the next
you never
speaking
noticed that?
exam, the score on your next speaking exam just like skyrocketed after that, right? It was like,
I think it did, didn't it? No, I won't remember now, but having this awareness was so important. Like,
mhm.
wow, I got to start coming up with these things. Examiners love that, don't they?
Yes, they really do. They really do.
I know, I know.
Yeah, so that's the one thing. And then also providing details and support that really is, I don't know, when you provide support, you need to have some very good reasons, right?
Sure.
To back up your argument. And
Hmm.
your reasons cannot be too similar. So I've had really like excellent speakers, but they give these two reasons that are so similar. The reasons sound too much alike, and then I think they get docked for points for that reason.
Or like, you just said that in your first argument, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Just restating the same idea, changing things a little bit here or there, but you're saying the same thing.
Yeah,
I've
so
been there.
I like to have students brainstorm some universal reasons, like how could this affect my work? How could this affect my health? How could this affect family? Right? So that when they
Mhm.
brainstorm reasons, they could think of, okay, work and then family, or technology and, right, efficiency in my commute to work or something, right? So that they're thinking of these universal reasons that are very different
Nice, nice.
for their two details.
Right. And you like to approach that with them.
Because it gives them somewhere to start from, because then
Nice,
often
nice.
students say I blanked out. I had no idea what to say, I had no reasons, I
Mhm.
had no justification for my
Uh-huh,
for
uh-huh,
my
uh-huh.
argument. So in order to
Sure.
avoid that sense of blankness in your mind, it's good to brainstorm some universal principles, universal reasons that you could use in any case, in any kind of question that comes up.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, you bet. Yeah. And you
Hmm.
got great material to help students out with that. I know.
Yeah,
Yes.
you have it or something? Yeah, well, I have a speaking guide to the
Sure.
TOEFL exam that students can download from my
Sure. We're gonna
Instagram
talk about
profile.
that for
Yeah,
sure.
it's very
For sure.
helpful. I walk students through the four parts of the speaking exam. I kind of give them a checklist of things to be thinking about to improve their response, and
That's absolutely
also some
amazing. And
sample answers, but also sample questions.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Right, right,
When
yeah.
students come to me, they usually have trouble with the academic lectures, right, and the academic reading passages and using more
Always.
academic English, right? Do you have any tips for students in terms of like the integrated tasks, structuring that? I don't know if
Sure.
we want to jump
Um,
ahead to that or,
no, it's fine. It's fine. A tip I can do is reading more academic like materials,
yeah, for
right?
sure. Yeah.
Students very often say that they do a great deal of reading, but when it comes to check what they're talking about, it's something totally unrelated to the TOEFL.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So academic texts that you
Yeah.
can not download, but read from a newspaper,
Yeah.
websites like CNN,
Mm-hmm.
Voices of
Mm-hmm.
America,
Yeah.
VOA.com, for instance. They can always help you with the structure, organization,
Mm-hmm.
language. collocation, set phrases, and so
Yes.
on and so forth.
Yes.
And something that I always say is the reading passages on a TOEFL guide like those, they can
Yeah.
help you a lot with your writing.
Yes.
If you are the kind of
Uh-huh.
person who looks for language and the structure of
Uh-huh.
sentences and so on, you can improve your writing and even your speaking, I guess, in a
Mm-hmm.
sense, by reading more,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And taking notes, trying out new language
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
the preparation material can provide with, right?
Yeah.
And also, something that I highly recommend is watching TED Talks and
Yes.
taking
TED
notes.
Talks. Yeah.
And taking notes.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I think it's a really great practice for you to pick up interesting language, for you to have a sense of how lectures are organized,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the kind of stuff they will be doing when they listen to lectures on the TOEFL. And
Definitely.
the way it is organized is basically this, I mean, chunks of language, for instance, the way
Mm-hmm.
you begin, how you elaborate on the ideas you are addressing, right? How you come up with an example, how you oppose ideas, and the chunks used along with linking words and phrases. This is the stuff students can listen for, try their best to highlight, see, as you pointed out earlier, see different possibilities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Synonyms, and be active learners in the sense of writing those all those things down in their
Mm-hmm.
files, notebooks, or whatever, right? That
Yes.
can
Yes.
definitely help. That can
Uh-huh.
definitely help.
Yeah, and I was trying to, in a recent blog post that I wrote, I was trying to kind of emphasize this idea of this infinity symbol, the infinity fluency model, which is really like you read a passage, for example, then you take that and you would write a summary of what you just read, right? Using these transition words and what you're saying, using the language, the chunks, and then you would take that and practice speaking about it, right? Talk to someone, tell someone around you what you just read, get it out of your mouth, because so many times we do read, we keep it kind of like in silence, right? All this information that we're gathering, so
That's
then
true.
use it all as like this point that connects to speaking and that connects to fluency.
Right. Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense, especially if you have this partner to practice with. I'm
Yes.
just afraid, most test takers I help, they don't have the chance to get to their partners, family members,
I
coworkers,
know.
and explain to them what they just read. That would be just great. That would be just great, right? But that's a great idea. I like that. And
Hmm.
I myself can relate to that. Like I used to read these crazy Cambridge passages
Yeah.
about, the wild, I don't know, natural parks in New Zealand, or the weather in Greenland, or I don't know, traditional food from Zimbabwe. And I was
Right.
like, my goodness, wow. And I would just keep this sort of content inside. I wouldn't
Yeah.
really talk about it with anybody else. I
Uh-huh.
just couldn't. But I love that idea. I really
Mm-hmm.
do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then also, I was talking to a Spanish teacher recently. She's like, take the mirror, put the mirror up in front of you, and practice with the
Oh,
mirror. Just practice the pronunciation with a mirror, looking at,
interesting.
like looking into the mirror and practicing it. It sounds a little bit lonely, but it's a possibility.
Well, yes, why not? I mean, if you are committed to your goal, to your personal,
Mm-hmm.
academic, professional goal, you name it, I think you should give it a try. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
I think in
Mm-hmm.
a sense that could also help by building confidence. After
Yeah.
all, you're speaking more, you're practicing speaking more
Mm-hmm.
frequently
Yeah,
by
and also, didn't
practicing by
haven't you
looking in the
practiced
mirror.
giving a speech in school or something? The teachers always told us, okay, do it in front of the mirror before you do it in front of the class, right? So our teachers always told us that in high school, right? Before you give a speech, before you present something.
Yeah, yeah. I'll tell you what, I never gave it a try. If you ask me,
It's kind of
Portuguese in
terrifying, right?
English or in Spanish, I never gave it a try, to be very honest. It sounds kind of crazy to me, but I know that helps. I know that helps,
Yeah.
right? It's the kind of thing, will help a lot of people, but I'm not sure I want to do that. It sounds very interesting indeed, right?
Mhm.
Have you give it a try yourself?
I mean, honestly, I've done it in my native language, preparing for a speech in my native
Right,
language.
right,
But
right.
really, with other languages, I really like to practice either with a partner, like a language speaking partner, or a teacher.
Sure.
I've always gone to the teacher route personally. I think having a teacher one on one is, for me, it's been the most efficient way to improve my language skills because you
Right.
get immediate corrections, you get support. It's very it's
Sure.
faster than, for example, joining a language class. Of course, it can be more expensive
Right.
as well.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I
But
once
maybe
gave it a
the
try.
community experience of a language class or a TOEFL support group, for example, a TOEFL class could be really helpful in giving you motivation, right? The
Absolutely.
group setting.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I gave it a try once with this French young lady, downtown Rio, but very suddenly, very quickly, I realized that she wasn't a teacher really. She was a native speaker, right? Who was trying to make a few reals, right? A few dollars in Rio, and I was like, hey, hold on a minute. I'm a teacher. I know what a lesson is like. You are just getting me along. You're just taking me for a ride. So after a few weeks, I just stopped it coming. I quit. And
Yeah,
it's
it's
like,
true that you have to find the right person for you. Someone that you trust, someone whose style you like, someone you resonate
sure,
with, right?
absolutely,
Sometimes
yeah,
that's
yeah.
hard to find, especially with teachers. A lot of teachers love to talk. We love to talk, 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 right? And so
Yes,
I
that might
get
be a
really
problem.
frustrated. Yeah, if I go to a class and the teacher just talks the entire time and I can't practice, right? It's like, ah.
I got this impression that we teachers can be really needy individuals in the sense that, okay, I'll just talk about what I did last weekend with my
Yeah,
family, and you're gonna have to bear with it till
right.
the end of class. Like, come on. I think we gotta deliver what students need. Come on,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
People are investing so much time and energy, and of course money. So we should
Hmm.
concentrate on their needs, doing our
Yeah.
best to meet their needs, right?
Hmm.
Sure, sure.
But yeah, I love the idea of building confidence through practice, through really focused practice, because like you were saying, it's just such a key component of the exam preparation process. But
I
with the
totally.
TOEFL, don't you think students always feel like, I'm never prepared enough? I'm never prepared enough. This exam is so hard, right? They feel like this sense like, I'll never get there, right?
I think they feel that way when they're not familiar with the format of the exam and they haven't
Hmm.
practiced enough because I don't know if you share the same view, the same experience with people who come to you for preparation, but oftentimes candidates come to me, they need help, but they never like downloaded any sample materials. They don't have
Yeah,
a clue. They don't have
right.
a clue what the test looks like,
Uh-huh.
and they've got to take it like in 2 months time or three,
Hmm. Hmm.
and as they've never given it a try, they never experienced, they don't know what to do when it comes to writing, speaking, which are the most challenging sections, of
Hmm.
course.
Hmm.
They usually lack confidence.
Yeah.
They haven't seen that or practiced. They don't know
Hmm.
what is going to come next. So they get
That's true. You
scared.
bring up a good point about going to the ETS website, reading through some sample answers, because the ETS website has tons of stuff about the speaking section, the writing
Sure.
section, right? Students can go in and look at high scoring answers. It's just such a wonderful resource that students aren't aware of, or they overlook, or they're not sure where to find the
I think
resources.
they probably overlook that, right?
Yeah.
Because if they know they have to take the TOEFL soon, they'll have to go to the most reliable source, which is
Hmm.
the ETS website at
Yeah.
first, and then try
Hmm.
their best to understand how this test works, or what they have to do, download sample material, something that will help them get familiar and as a consequence build their confidence when it comes to
Yes.
take when it comes to taking the test. And um, I don't know if that happens to you often, but what happens is people suddenly realize that they have to take very that happens very often. Okay, people suddenly learn that they have to take the test in a few weeks, a month or two,
Yeah.
and they come to you desperate. They don't have a clue what to do, and you know, a very common thing about people in Brazil is that people don't plan things ahead very frequently. I can say that because sometimes you're like, oh, I need to submit my score in
Hmm.
2 weeks from now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's
I
just not enough
and
time.
I and I'm like, okay, do I look like God to you? I don't work miracles.
Yes, you look like
Hey,
God. You look like God.
come on. So I
Hmm.
wish you the best of luck if you need to take the test in 2 weeks and you're looking for, I mean, of course, there
Hmm.
are people who are like retaking the test. That's
Hmm.
another case.
Yeah,
They've
right.
been there, they've already experienced that. Maybe there was some strategic thing missing, and that way they didn't reach the target. They didn't, unfortunately, they didn't accomplish that. But come on, two
Yeah, I
weeks,
think
three.
people, in
What
a
are
sense,
you
people are
thinking?
in a hurry and they don't realize that the test is actually much harder than they're expecting, probably, and that it does require a lot of preparation. So it's important to
Yeah,
give yourself the patience and the time you need in order to dedicate to that energy into this
sure,
preparation. And
sure.
also,
It's
don't think
such,
about it as just the test. These skills you build will help you in your university career after you pass the test, after you get the score you need, right? These are really useful skills to have for life.
yeah, absolutely. You attend classes, you attend lectures. Professors are giving these lectures. You have to get some information. So you're going to be there, like writing down key things that will help you
Hmm.
study, learn something in your subject area. And along
Hmm.
with that, you will be interacting with the class,
Yeah.
uh, both in and outside the classroom. So
Hmm.
all these skills that are tested, they are definitely valid for life, right? On
Hmm. Hmm.
campus, outside campus. I like the TOEFL test in the sense that a lot of the skills that students are supposed to develop, they will still be used in real life.
Oh
I
yeah.
believe it's
Yeah.
it's it's a more of a realistic test, right? Because you
I
do
think so
stuff that you
too.
will be doing. You do stuff that you will be doing in real life very
Hmm.
soon. I mean, if everything goes right, very soon you'll
Hmm.
be putting all the stuff that you learned during
Hmm.
preparation in your life. And I think it is amazing, right? Like getting ready
Yeah.
for classes in an international um, university.
Yes, and
Come
that's
on.
what you have to get excited about. You have to put this vision
Uh,
board up on your wall. You have to get excited about the goal that's beyond the TOEFL. Because for many people, the TOEFL is a chore. It's very hard. So you have to always look at your highest ambitions and like put it on the wall so you can see it. And
yes.
that's what helped one of my students from Brazil actually get over 100 on the exam and go to Stanford because she was just like really focused on getting there. Like she was
Right.
gonna get in, she was gonna get over 100 no matter what. She had to get to
Right.
to get into the program.
Uh-huh.
So she
Uh-huh.
was like looking at that goal and just it pushed her to the score she needed.
Amazing. That totally
Yeah.
reminds me of this candidate, as you said, Stanford. And I was talking about people who come to you like 2 weeks ahead and you don't
Yeah.
know what to do. Like, I wish you the best of luck, but I can help you. If, in case the test taker is doing it again,
Mm-hmm.
maybe they're familiar with the structure. They got
Mm-hmm.
this gray language background,
Yeah.
right, to support the process. And depending on the student, they're actually
Mm-hmm.
able to make it, right? This guy that I helped prepare for the TOEFL, he was
Mm-hmm.
taking it a second time. He couldn't use the score like 1 year or and a half before or
Yeah,
something.
it does
And
expire, right?
yeah, exactly. His score had expired. He took and he took 3 sessions with me only. I clearly remember that because I was so impressed.
You gave him a
You
lot
said
of tips and
Stanford.
tricks, right, in those 3 sessions.
No, the guy was great. Come on. Totally his credits. Totally his credits. The guy's English was great.
Yeah.
He was also a great guy, but he had this session on a Monday afternoon. Then I will never forget that. Then on Wednesday and Thursday, 1 hour and a half each. So we're talking 4.5 hours total. And he took the test either on a Friday or the following Friday or Saturday, and he scored I think 109 or 113. I won't remember.
That's amazing.
And this guy is in Stanford right now, California.
Wow.
And whenever I think about people who got this really, really crazy deadline, I think of this guy. But he's definitely an exception, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You raised something really interesting, having the picture of your goals right in front of you, having this clear goals, right? This personal, academic, professional goals. Maybe even on a physical board, something you can look at on a daily basis. Helps in terms of motivation, right?
Definitely.
Like a motivation board, something like that. And I don't know, you can put a picture of the university you want to apply for.
That's what I do for
A
students.
diploma,
I put a picture of the
car,
university.
or whatever.
Yes.
That helps. That will help you keep on track. Like, I know what I want, and I'll do my best to get there. Right? No matter what, I'll study hard. I will miss holidays, parties, so many things, nice stuff, but I know what I want to get. So that's part of the game. That's part of the game, right?
Yes.
All right then. Okay. Anne, let me ask you something very important. How can followers find you?
Yeah, my Instagram is @movingenglish. Oh, Marina just said these vision boards are what drive you when you're lacking
Vision
motivation.
boards.
Yes, Marina.
Vision
exactly.
boards. That's the thing I was trying
this
to
vision
remember.
board, exactly.
Yeah. I know someone very special who's got one, and she keeps really encouraged to go on, pursuing her dreams, along with all these amazing pictures of places she wants to visit, things she wants to do about her personal and professional life, and it is really inspiring. A vision board. Thank you, Maria, by the way.
Yeah. Andy says, how interesting is that passing this exam has sometimes more to do with motivation, right, than with your English. That's very true, too. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Maybe we could open up for a few questions. If you guys have questions, please go ahead. We would be very happy to talk to you, and probably something to do with the Pygmalion effect. I'm not
Marina, I'm not familiar with it. I'm not sure what it is, the Pygmalion effect.
Me neither. If you could explain. Yeah. All right. Let's see what they say. I'm just awful, like rolling down the messages on the screen. It's so hard. I always think I will cancel the live and the whole thing will, Right. What time is it in Spain right now?
It's already, it's 10. No, 11. It's 11 p.m.
Whoa, 11 p.m. You must be tired. I would be.
It's been a long day, but it's been a wonderful Friday. And I'm so grateful.
Great.
I feel really, really grateful to have this live with you. So grateful to have, students, right, who have achieved the score that they've needed to get in order to be at the universities that they want to be at. So I'm full of gratitude to be here.
My pleasure, Anne. My pleasure for sure. Yes.
And also just to be with a fellow coach who's a language learner who's passionate about learning languages, teaching languages. It's such an honor to.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Being able to share and contribute with people who are getting ready for the exam, or
Yes.
they don't know what to. Oh, I think we got a question.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully, I don't cancel this live. Okay, my man from California, Deilson. Hey man, how are you doing? What do you think would be the most common mistake that TOEFL takers make during the test preparation? Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah.
I'll be a gentleman, and if you could, and what would you say the most common mistake
I
is?
think, in my personal opinion, test takers in their preparation focus too much on um, reading. I guess, okay, you need to do reading and listening, as we were saying. You need to do reading and listening practice. Oftentimes, those are really difficult. But, like I said, they're not taking those skills to fluency, to practice speaking, to improve their fluency, right? So,
Uh,
oftentimes, speaking is the lowest score. But the students aren't focusing enough energy on raising their speaking score, and they're focusing energy on, okay, let's focus on reading, let's focus on, right? So really, I think that's the biggest mistake that I see. Students aren't practicing enough fluency skills to get ready for the test.
yeah, you could say
I
that
don't know
again.
if you agree or disagree or have a different opinion.
I'm not so sure about the amount of reading and listening people do around here, but yes, I believe that they can concentrate on their speaking and writing skills the most,
Mm-hmm.
because that's basically the language skills they lack practice. I
Yeah.
mean, as I said, when I was getting ready for Cambridge exams back in the days, I didn't have anybody at all to practice
Yeah.
with, except for the other people in the class, because I was doing it in a group in
Uh-huh.
this
Uh-huh.
language school. And when it comes to writing, um, I would practice that during
Mm-hmm.
this period. I was getting ready for proficiency and the Cambridge Advanced and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned the fact that you got to know what you need. Awareness is key for you to know
Right.
what to do, the path you
Right.
go. So once you don't know what you need to work on, what you need to improve, how can you possibly, work on your skills in the sense of getting your score higher,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're getting ready for the test on your own.
Mm-hmm.
I keep consistently wondering how people can get ready for an important exam like the TOEFL when they don't have a tutor to back them up,
Right.
right?
I think true.
So
Yeah, the role of a guide, the role of a teacher is so important.
yeah, so that happens to other exams, of course, and oftentimes both students and teachers believe that their own language skills, that sometimes are amazing,
Hmm.
really, will be enough for them to score high when they are not familiar with the test, with
Right. Yes, I see that a
when they
lot.
haven't practiced enough,
I
when
see
they
that a
haven't
lot.
received any effective feedback upon their performance. So I keep wondering, why do they do that? Very often they fail and they waste their money and time. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's true. It's a good point. It's a good point. Well,
Right?
after they watch this live, they're gonna be like, no, now I know exactly what I need to do, right?
Exactly. Look for N. Look for moving English.
Look
Come
for
to
Sandro
me.
too, right?
Yeah, we can help
Couple
them.
success.
Sure.
Mhm.
Amazing. And thank you ever so much for your time with us. Okay. If you
Yes.
have some final tips, something you'd like to share, please, the stage is yours.
Yes, and we'll be in the comments if you want to comment after the live. We can definitely respond and answer any questions in the comments as well.
All right, then. Well,
Yay!
everyone, thank you so
Thank
much
you
for your
so
time
much.
here. It's so great to have you guys around. You have a lovely
Yay!
weekend. And guys who are watching this recording, right? And we'll be so happy to talk to you in case you need help with TOEFL preparation. You can also find me on the direct. We'll be so excited to talk to you. And great
Yeah.
to have this session finally, right?
Yeah, are we gonna do
And
the music? The music again is like the
sure. Yeah. All right.
Let's get the dancing kind
Let's
of.
get these songs on,
It's
to wrap
Friday
this
night.
up. It's Friday night. Let's have some fun,
We're
guys.
talking about TOEFL prep, and it's like a dance party over here.
Just like that. Just like that. Yeah. Such a shame I got two left feet, but all right. Well, guys, I'll see you next time, and you have a. Thank you so much for sharing all the
Yes,
tips
thank
and
you so
tricks that
much
you
too.
have, and I hope to see you soon. Okay.
All right, take care, everybody.
All right. Cuídate bien. Hasta luego. Chao.